Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And tonight we got a special guest in the house. We got Dennis the Menace. What's going on, man?
What's going on? How are you guys doing?
Oh, just living the dream. So, basically, man, I've been checking out your art, and I seen the show coming up, and we had Johnny Jalopy on. I seen him share your show, and I was like, man, let's get behind this. We got to have this guy on. Let's talk about it. So, I guess we'll start with what's going on with the show.
So it's the Show Me Lowbrow art show. We call it an art show, but it's actually kind of more of a market, because all of the artists be there vending their art. It's not like a gallery type art show.
Okay.
Where people come in, put their hands behind their back, stare at the piece, look at the price tag, say, I can't afford that, and then, go home. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want a gallery art show. We wanted to have, you go to car shows and there might be 2, 3, maybe more, if it's a good show, art vendors there. So we wanted to have a show that was just the custom culture art vendors. That's what we wanted to do. We're not the first ones to do this. Dennis McPhail has put on an art show at his tattoo studios like several years in a row. He kind of does it 2 years, stops for a while, and does it a couple more. But he's done this before. There's another guy, Pat Lannis. He did the Sleds and Sleighs art extravaganza in Kansas City. He did that for 2 years. He's kind of doing the same thing, put it out there and then take it away. I'm not sure exactly how ours is going to go. We're going to do the second year this year. Like we've got artists, we're doing it. We've got a venue. It's all booked. But yeah, I could probably talk about the show for, quite a while, honestly. There's a lot involved. We're also going to do a children's art auction. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have some art pieces that are donated by the artists, and some other artists that were invited that can't make it are donating. And towards the end of the show, we're going to auction off all the art that we have. And then all that money is going to go to 2 different local children's hospitals.
Awesome.
Around St. Louis.
Awesome.
So last year we donated to Shriners Children's, St. Louis Children's and Cardinal Glennon. And we donated $750 a piece last year. So
awesome. That's an awesome cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
So what got you into the crazy car obsession?
That's the weirdest thing, because my dad had some cool cars here and there, but my dad didn't know how to work on cars, and he wasn't like heavy into drag racing or, my dad wasn't really heavily into cars. I mean, he had some cool cars here and there over his life, but for some reason growing up, like I can remember being a little kid, like, 3, 4, 5, something like that, just real young. And I had this dirt bike t-shirt, this like Supercross t-shirt. And man, I wore that thing. Like if I could wear it every day, I would wear it every day, And there was just something about cars and motorcycles for me growing up. Just the sound of the engines, and just the look and the style, and I don't know, I was just addicted from the start, and I really don't know. Like, I can't say there was any family member or there was anything specific. I mean, there was key events. Like, I did have a granduncle who took me for a ride in his 72 454 Corvette one time. And riding in that and getting thrown back against the seat, I mean, that'll leave an impression on a little kid.
Get you hooked for life.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Gave me the go fast, that's for sure.
So we were talking a little bit before, and you said you had a couple cars. So which one out of those that you own are your favorite?
Oh. It's hard. I don't like picking favorites in almost anything. Now, the one I've had the longest, though, is the 54 Mercury. And it's not a running and driving car yet. It's still a project. As I said, it was shopped by Gene Winfield and Voodoo Larry, and also Tim Dempsey, and then Brian Beal and Ronnie Perrin. There were several guys that were working on it, along with me and my club. It got chopped at the 2016 Chicago Autorama. And during the show as exhibition. And I had Voodoo Larry finish the chop, because when those cars get chopped at an exhibition, a lot of it comes out of there tack welded. They're
getting you a good start on a chop.
Exactly. But ever since I was a little kid reading Cartoons magazine, I had thought to myself when I was a little kid, if I could have one car when I grow up, what's it gonna be? Because I loved muscle cars, vans. I mean, I just loved everything. And so I was like, when I was a little kid, it was weird. I wanted myself to pick, what are you going to try and have when you get older? And what I wanted was a 50s lead sled is what I wanted. And if it could be a Mercury, of course, I wanted it to be a Mercury, because, Mercury's always got that, holy grail, Mercury. And about 2008, a buddy of mine said, "Hey, man, I found this Mercury in an alley in an industrial area." He said, "It's sitting between these two buildings. The car looks complete and doesn't look too bad." And he said, I found out I was doing some work for the owner of the buildings, and she said she wanted to get rid of it. And so I was like, I got real excited. I'm like, he didn't know what year it was. He just said there's a Mercury in an alley. I'm like, this is like one of those classic magazine stories.
Mm-hmm.
How you find something. And I'm like, yeah, man, I got to go find, so I got to go meet with this lady and talk to her. So I talked to her and I looked at the car, and it's like, oh, this is a 54. And I don't know that I had even ever seen a 54. I wasn't, when I found this car in 2008, like, I wasn't in a car club. I hadn't been working on cars. I just still had that dream from when I was a little kid of having a 50s lead sled, and somebody said Merc, and I was like, I got to look,
Oh, yeah.
And I saw this car in the alley, and I was like, man, that's an ugly duckling. And I was like, but, I need I need to try and live out this dream. And I'm getting older, and and this could be, and I talked to her. I got the car for 250 from her, and then had to put new tires on it to get it out of there because it was all dry rotted and everything. Got the car home, and see, I'm not really a mechanic. Like, I didn't grow up with like I said, a dad that was a mechanic, or even, my dad took all his cars to a shop if it needed something. So I didn't really learn to work on cars as I was growing up. That's just something that didn't really happen. And even though I was crazy about cars, I didn't really learn to work on them. So I got the Mercury, I got it home, and I didn't mess with it for a while. And a friend of mine tells me, maybe you ought to get a car that's already running and driving. That way you've got more, more ambition. If something goes wrong, more ambition to get the thing going. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea.
He's a good friend.
Yeah, he's a good friend. Yeah. And so I picked up that Model T, my 26 Model T. And it was already chopped and channeled, and it had a worn out 350 in it. And it had like the AutoZone stick-on letters that said Rat Rod on it. And the guy was actually trying to give me a plastic rat when I bought it. And I was like, no, I don't want that. And I drove the car home, and the roof almost flew off of it on the highway.
Oh, jeez.
And when I pulled into my driveway, the car died. And I had to push it into my garage. And like I said, not being a mechanic, I couldn't even get it started again. And I was like, what did I just buy? This was cash deal. It's done. Mm-hmm. What did I just buy? And we put pictures out there on social media when I was buying it. And one of my old buddies who was a mechanic saw the pictures, and he got a hold of me and he said, hey man, do you need any help with that car? And I was like, oh my God, dude, yes. Come over. Like it broke down when I got home.
At least it waited like, till okay. You got home.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know. At least I got home. Yeah. That was crazy. So he comes over and he brings a buddy of his over. And the three of us, we keep putting Band-Aids on that car, fixing little things here and there. I had a fire one time, and I had a pit bull in the car. We were going down to be on the news for this car show. They wanted cars that were going to be in the show to be on the news. And the donation part of it was for a pit bull rescue, was for stray rescue. And so I had a pit bull in the car, and smoke starts billowing out from underneath the dash. And I'm freaking out. I pull over. We're like right at the news station, and I'm the only thing I'm worried about is the dog.
Yeah.
I don't care about the car. I'm trying to get the dog out of the car. I don't want to burn up this dog. That's not even my dog. It's a stray dog. Stray rescue dog. I'm like, oh my God. So I get the dog out of the car and turn off the power to the car. And it was just a wire that was touching a hot that shouldn't have been there. And, it wasn't that big a deal, but it smoked out and freaked me out pretty good. But I was still able to start the car and drove it over to my buddies, and we band-aided it again. But yeah, that happened constantly with that car until we finally, with the Model T, me and those other two guys, and then there was a fourth guy who was another friend of theirs, and all three of those guys were mechanics. And they told me, look, we can keep doing the little fixes on this car, or we can take it body off, completely off, rebuild the frame, rebuild everything, and you would have a really nice car after that, and we can do it on a budget and everything else. And that's what we did with my Model T. We're about to do that pretty soon with the Mercury. But I also have this 1977 Chevy van that right now myself and this artist Van Gogh, he's my parents' age. He's like 74 and I'm like 52. And him and I are both doing a giant wraparound mural on this 77 Chevy van.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
We were working on that this morning.
That's awesome. It's always good to have friends that can come over and help, and it's always good when you get a couple guys in the garage because it gives you more ideas, different ways to fix shit. And it's good to see that the collab is, we're going our generation to your generation. It's good to see that the generation above you is sharing the knowledge and helping, and the collaboration with y'all. That's what this is all about.
The three guys that helped me with the Model T, during that process of that build, we ended up forming a car club, and we called it the Decent Boys. And it was kind of a play on good guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Decent Boys, good guys. And, we had, and still to this day, to a degree, there was a bunch of drama between clubs locally, and semi-locally, like people not getting along and things. And we didn't want to have anything to do with that. We were like, we wanted to be neutral to all of it. And so we were like, we're just the Decent Boys. We're just decent people. We'll help anybody. We don't care who you are, what you are, whatever. We're decent. I mean, we've grown from like 4 people to like 20 people. And we've even got women in the club that have their own cars and work on their own cars, and they're Decent Boys. Which is weird. It's goofy, but we're a conundrum, I guess.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're not the Decent Boys, but
we're just the boys. That's our last name. I said we're just the boys. That's our last name.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool.
So I'm a lady that's one of the boys.
Right. We always joked around. We always joked, like on American Graffiti, how the Pharaohs were like, talking about the blood initiation. So we would always joke with everybody, just wait till the blood initiation, and the first girl that we added as a Decent Boy, Jennifer Flores, Jen, she actually brought us a vial of her blood. And she was like, we were only joking. And then like on New Year's, she's like, oh, here's my blood initiation. And she like gave the vial of blood to the one guy that we'd named president out of the first 4. And we were like, oh, okay. Like, holy cow.
She meant business.
Yeah, she's my business. Yeah. Yeah, she's a badass. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's always good. It's always good to have people to fall back on support.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand club drama because it's like we're all here for the same reason. We're all just trying to enjoy our shit, you know. But
right.
So what's the car that got away? Whether you sold it, whether you had the opportunity to buy it, and you're looking back like, man, I really should have got it or I would have got it. Wish I could have.
They're honestly the car that got away. There's too many to name. I mean, there was a '69 Camaro that had a rebuilt 454 in it. That I was trying to buy. Like I straight up had the money and was gonna buy it when I was 16, and my dad was like, "Nope, no way, nope." You know, because I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just like, "You're gonna kill yourself in that car," and I probably would have, because around that time my dad had an '84 Camaro. And the first speeding ticket I got in that was 93 and a 35.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I got out of that one. I should have gone to jail, but I didn't. I got lucky. Yeah. But there was a flat fronted van back then. There was this 65 Thunderbird that all it needed was brakes. It was a straight up grandma's car, you know, that story. And all it needed was some brake work. And I could have gotten that. But I didn't know how, you know, once again, I wasn't a mechanic. I didn't know how to do brakes. I was like, plus I really didn't, well, at that time, I didn't have a garage either. I lived in an apartment, and I was like, I'm not, you know, I had no place to put a classic car.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got older that I actually had a, you know, plate, you know, my own house and somewhere to store these cars that to even get a car and have a car. Because I didn't want to leave a classic out in the weather. I mean, as you know, the rat rod things didn't really come in until later on in my life. You know, like when I was in high school, all kinds of kids had muscle cars and drove their muscle cars to high school. I mean, everybody had a muscle car, just about. You know, back in high school. And if you would go to a car show back then in the 80s and 90s, I mean, it was like Easter eggs and trapper keepers and, you know, paint jobs and, you know, just feather dusters and it just, you know, all those cars at the car shows. You'd look at that stuff and you're like, man, like, I'll never have a classic car because I don't have that kind of money, you know? And the only thing, like, when people started, like, the early on with rat rods, when it was like a car with patina or a car in primer, it was really, to me, it was really cool to actually see somebody who'd done all the mechanicals on that car and just didn't have the money for paint yet, or hadn't got that far, or maybe they weren't going to do it. But it was just cool to see. It was like, you know, that looks affordable, you know, like that looks obtainable.
Yes.
Is to just get it, find some junker and fix it up and drive the hell out of it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, that's the rat rods that I like. I like the ones that aren't purposely done badly. Sure. You know, if it's, you know, you got the motor going, okay, it's running and it's driving, so now you go drive it. And then squirrel some more money away up. Okay, well, now the body can get straight. All right, now it's in primer. those are the type of rat rods that I like. The purposely putting saw blades as a visor and, the spider web welds and stuff like that. I still go look at it because I think all cars are cool, but purposely making it look, especially people that take cars that were decent looking, and you're like, you did that to that. That's not cool. Like, it was a decent looking car before you started chopping it.
I've seen that. The fake patina on cars that had decent paint jobs. It's like, oh, okay.
Just park it outside for a little while. It'll get painted.
When they got the horseshoes and saw blades and all that everywhere, I like to call that accoutrements.
The rubber rat.
Really nice accoutrements on that car. It's very
the rubber rats, the AutoZone stickers, the hood scoops that are 3M taped to the somewhere, non-functioning stuff. Yeah, that stuff. So what's a show that you try to make every year?
As far as locally, that would be Rusttoberfest, which happens in New Florence, Missouri.
Okay.
Out of state, I try and make Vintage Torque Fest in Dubuque, Iowa, every year. Vintage Torque Fest is, it's just, there's so much going on. There's no way you can't have a good time at that show. There's like demolition derby, mini bike races. There's pinup contests. There's 3 or 4 stages of bands. There's art. There's, the actual car show. There's this huge swap meet. It's on a fairground. There's oval track racing. It just doesn't. It just
sounds like
stop.
A great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Rusttoberfest, it's just a straight up party that the Metal Flakes put on. They have bands on Friday and then all day into the night Saturday, and it's at a park. And there's vendors, and I'll go and vend it. But I like to just hang out too. And there's like a long straightaway street right on the outskirts of the park when you first come in, and that's pretty much Burnout Row.
Nice.
And people just do burnouts all day long on Saturday. It's just all like you walk away the next few days, you're smelling burnt rubber. That's all you can smell because
that's awesome.
It's just burnouts all day long, and it's just a total party.
Nice. Excuse me. What is a show that you haven't made or that you've never been to that you would like to go to?
Oh God, there's too many of those. Because I work full time, so there's just too many of those. Beatersville would be one. Lone Star Roundup is another one.
Yep.
Anything out in California.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to see if I can work out going to the Moon Eyes New Year's. I think they call it New Year's, but it's like in January at Irwindale drag strip. They've been doing a Moon Eyes show. I'm trying to work out how to go to that one. Now, the ultimate one that's like the bucket list show for me is Moon Eyes Yokohama in Japan.
Yep.
You're the second person that said that show.
Yep.
That dude, the Japanese, like, they have that classic, classic traditional style in their choppers, in their cars. They also go beyond that, but they really, their stuff has it going on, like, I've just been watching that show for years, and I just feel like it would be so awesome to, plus I've never been out of the country. So if I'm going to go out of the country, that would be a good place to go.
Yeah, that's two little ticks off the bucket list. Get out of the country and go to a badass show.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of shows, and you listed most of them.
Yep.
Because we both work full time as well, so getting out, local shows are kind of easy. Yeah, local shows are kind of easy to get to, but
yeah. And it's kind of like we're picking and choosing. Like this year we'll do this out of state one. Next year we'll do that out of state one. The year after we'll do that out of state one.
Yeah, we try to watch YouTube and talk to people because, we really wanted to go to Pigeon Forge Rod Run. We watched a video on it for spring anyway. I don't know if they do it in the fall as well, but they were towing everybody and it couldn't park anywhere without your, and I'm like, man, somebody towed my shit. I'd have a problem with it. You're just trying to enjoy yourself. And I mean, I get it's on a public road, but still, if you're bringing people in, you should have at least some leniency. Yeah. I mean, even Cracker Barrel was towing people.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's people used to cruise Lindbergh Boulevard out here in what's called South County. They used to do that back in the 80s and 90s, and some of these guys got together and started a Facebook page and saying, "Hey, we're gonna start cruising Lindbergh again," And they've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years now, and it's just obnoxiously huge now. It's like, I think it's kind of amateur hour because it's just a big traffic jam now.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool at first, to kind of like cruise like people would back in the day. You go from the Home Depot down to the Sonic or whatever, stuff like that. You just cruise the strip and everybody sees all the cars. But the only problem with that is you get, the people wanting to do burnouts, and then that just, then you get the cops, and then people start getting towed. Business, people doing burnouts in front of the businesses are almost hitting people, and you know how that stuff goes. It just gets spoiled real fast if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a monthly cruise on the third Sunday of every month, but the way we do it is we cruise somewhere. So we'll meet.
Oh, sure.
Well, this month we're meeting at Napa and Bushnell, which is right down the road from our house, but kind of local to everybody in Florida anyway. And then we're going to Coney Island in Brooksville, and it's basically show up in the parking lot, you hang out, yo, cool, boop, boop. All right, time to roll out. And 30-minute cruise, eat food. We usually try to pick somewhere that's got other options if you don't want to go to where we're going. And then, when you finish up, you can either cruise back to Bushnell with us because that's where we're headed, or, go home and kind of keep it, because I was worried when we first started it, you're cruising and there's 10 cars and guys at a red light doing a burnout in the middle of all of y'all. Well, now you're associated with it too. And it's like, I don't want to be responsible for, some little old lady getting run over in a crosswalk because your front brakes let go or something.
Right.
And, I mean, there was just one not too far from us that they did a gender reveal at a car meet and did a burnout and blew the blue balloon or whatever, and cops show up. And then they're all mad, like, I can't believe the cops come up and broke it up and told us all to go home. Well, y'all were being dumb. Don't be dumb, and you won't win stupid prizes. But,
exactly.
The cops don't care if you're just hanging out, being respectful. But like you said, when you're doing burnouts in front of a business and the guy comes to his business the next morning and there's trash and burnout marks, well, who was here? Oh, y'all were here. Okay, not anymore. But
there's also actually around here, there's also some street racing that goes on around here on typically
Allegedly.
industrial area type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, late at night, whenever, or maybe it's in Mexico. I can't remember where.
Allegedly, there's some.
Where allegedly. And I know a lot of guys that get involved with that, and they say when the cops show up, you know, some people run. They say they just hang out and talk to the cops, and the cops are like, "What are you doing?" You know, and usually the cops are pretty mellow about it. You know, just like, hey, you know, don't do anything dangerous. You know, the people that run make it worse.
Yeah,
you know, like. The cop's gonna chase you if you run.
Yeah,
you might be able to just talk to the guy.
Yeah, they're just looking to be like, "Hey guys, listen, I got called. I'm here. Don't be stupid. I'm gonna run down there, and when I come back, don't be here anymore. Don't make us all look bad, basically."
Exactly.
But it is what it is. So, excuse me. What is one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's trying to get into the car culture or the art side or whatever, you know, anything automotive related?
Oh man, don't listen to the rules.
I like that.
You know, and that's for all of it. That's for art. That's for the cars. That's for life, man. Like, don't listen to all the rules. You know, sometimes rules are made to be broken. Some of them. So,
be a decent boy.
I mean, just yeah, be a decent individual, dude. Like, if somebody needs help them. You know, like everybody hating on everybody, and you know, like if this dude's passion is a rat rod and to have all these accoutrements on it, but this dude's like really passionate about this, you know, and you know, his car's not a death trap. It's well built, you know, whatever. It's like, I can absolutely, whether it's my thing or not, I can absolutely respect that dude, that he has passion for it. And this is what he loves, you know, and that's the thing, you know, like, I don't have to hate on the guy just because that's not my style. Mm-hmm. You know, like that stuff I don't understand. Why everybody needs to hate on everybody when it's not their style? Mm-hmm. You know,
very true.
Like my 54 Mercury, it's shot by Voodoo Larry and Gene Winfield, but it's a 4-door. So I guess it's not a traditional custom anymore. You know, according to the rules. So don't follow the rules.
I dig it because it's different. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't fit. I like that. That's, you know, like you said with the liking everything, like, you know, I don't understand the lowrider stuff. I try. I really do. Because the work that goes into those cars, suspension-wise, engineering-wise, to be able to do what they do with those cars and they still be able to drive away is impressive.
I mean, art-wise.
And the amount of money, the amount of time that is spent laying out a body that you're fixing to bounce to death. Like, their plan when they pull in is to bounce that car till it dies and build another one to do it again. I love that.
Painting the undercarriage. You know,
etching the undercarriage, etching the frame, etching the firewall, the motor parts,
etching the door handles.
Oh yes, I reference
etching the windows.
Turkey Rod Run, which is a 3-day show at Thanksgiving in Florida, in Daytona. we went last year, and there was probably a dozen of them. They rolled in, 13 wires, knockoffs. I mean, clean cars. And I'm like, okay, they're going to go. The sky got dark, and I was like, oh, these guys are fixing to haul ass out of here. 90% of them were convertibles. And I'm like waiting for the tops to close and them to haul ass out of there. Nah, it starts pouring down rain. They're still hopping down, driving down with the tops down, just smiles on their face, just getting it.
Yeah.
Enjoying their cars. That's what I love most.
I got mad respect for lowriders, especially bombs, what they call bombs.
Yes.
That style of car, a bomb, is just, oh man, like there's nothing like it to me. It's just, I look at cars in as artistic pieces. I have an artist's eye, so I look at everything through an artist's eye. Like the reason I really love almost any car is its lines, the lines a car has. The more flowing, or even the muscle cars with more squared off lines. But it's just, if a car has sexy lines, it's got sexy lines,
well, it's in a personality. I mean, it has soul. Yeah. There's something behind every car. And that's, I mean, like I told you before, we focus mainly on the older stuff just because that's what we focus on. But late 50s cars, 60s cars, or 50s and 60s cars, all of them, with the swoops and the 52 or 51, 52 Chevys, the roof kind of just flows right into the trunk. That's killer lines. Right. Mercs.
Oh, yeah.
And then you chop it, and it makes it even better. There's so many different avenues that you can take. You don't have to be the checklist.
Those late 50s, early 60s, I wouldn't mind having a car from that generation. I wouldn't mind at all. There's the fins and the weird fins and the weird front ends, and they just did some weird stuff to those cars, but it's epic, man. It looks really good, in my opinion. 61 Plymouth or something. Some of those cars have canted headlights stock. There's custom touches, but they're stock. It's like my 54 Mercury. It has French headlights, and that's stock.
Well, we were watching a video before we hopped on here. Carl Fisher, Make It Custom, and they were doing a hydraulic system for a parking lay it and leave it type setup, not to hop on a 59 Buick Electra. And it's pulling out, and the fins and everything, and he's got it up in the front so he can turn, and he backs it out of the garage, and I'm like, and that it don't get no better. That's it. You did exactly what it looks like,
Right.
The knockoff with the 70 spokes or whatever. All right, cool. I'm like, and the dude's out driving it. I'm like, that's cool. Get out and drive your shit. The cars that I don't get are the ones that they build, and then they're like, oh yeah, I have a 32 Ford. Oh yeah, where's it at? Oh, it's at the house on a battery tender. It's been there for 6 years. Get out and drive it.
In the carpeted garage.
And some people like that. I mean, some people spend a lot of money just to look at them in a garage, and I guess I don't necessarily agree with that mentality, but I guess if that's what you want to do, if that's how you enjoy your car, I guess, it is what it is.
Some people spend a lot of money on the car just to trailer it to every show too. And even my Mercury, my Model T just has a rattle can paint job. And the body, we've never finished the body work. The car was chopped when I got it, and the body work it's not straight. It's pretty macked, and we've never finished the body work. But I wanted an actual color on there, so we rattle can purple. Did some rattle can purple on that car. But now the 54 Merc, like once I get that up and running and drive, like I want a nice paint job on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a custom. It deserves a nice paint job as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's always like, oh, you'll be afraid of nicks and dings and it's like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I'll be just smiling too big driving that car to really care, about the nicks and dings will give it what's called personality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, we stray away from paint here, but the Model A will
Oh yeah.
Well, the 54 is it's a survivor car. It still has the original orange from 54.
That's cool.
Hasn't been body worked. It's got a little bit of rust, got a little bit of cancer, but it's its own little weight loss program. I probably lose a couple pounds every time I drive it, but it's all good. Eventually, if that car sticks around, we'll fix it and probably still won't have a new paint job on it. It'll probably just be rattle canned where I fix the rust, but it is what it is. The Model A, the 32 was going to be a bare metal truck. Fortunately, the gentleman that's supposed to come pick it up this weekend is, the reason I sold it to him is because he's going to keep it that way. He wants to do a bare metal truck. And I told him I gave him a price.
Honestly, it's a lot of maintenance.
I gave him a price, and he said, well, I called him, or gave him my number. He called me, which was weird for Facebook Marketplace. Somebody actually calls. That was a nice change of pace. And he explained what he wanted to do, and I was like, hey man, tell you what, do you need the chassis? He's like, nope, I'm building a chassis. I'm like, okay, well, then I'll sell it to you for this. And he's like, I'm going to keep it bare metal because it's never going to be a rainy day truck anyway. Like, it's going to leak, and, he's like, but I want to bare metal it. And he went up to Cornfield Custom for a metal shaping class, fell in love with it, came back, sold his projects, and bought metal shaping equipment. And I was like, well, I'm going to need door panels and floor pans and stuff bead rolled. So get good at bead rolling, and I'll bring you some metal, and we can work something out there. And he's like, yeah, 10-4, yeah, cool. So we agreed on a price, and he's going to come pick the truck up.
Nice.
I don't fit in a 32 truck. I want to be able to drive it, and I wasn't going to fit the build. And I've been looking for a Model A for probably a year, and I come across one, and it's weird because it's a 4-door, and obviously the back doors aren't going to work when I get done because it's going to be, the doors will be behind the tires, but it's going to be different. That's why I'm doing it. That whole truck, or that whole build is going to be weird, and I like that. But it's going to get painted. I was going to do bare metal on it, and I told Ashley, I was at work one day, and I called her, and I was like, hey, are you sitting down? And she's like, yeah. I said, I'm going to paint the Model A. And she's like, I'm glad I was sitting down. I'd have fell down.
He's been so for bare metal for so long.
So when we picked it up, it's white, and loaded it on the trailer. It's a complete car. And okay. we're driving it. We pulled over to Walmart because I broke a strap, and pull over, get some straps, and I'm walking away from the car, and I look back at it, and I'm like, it's Snow White. Well, you can't really have a bare metal vehicle and call it Snow White, so it's got to be white. So it'll get painted, but it'll probably be a rattle can paint job in the driveway.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Get some sandable get some sandable paint and shoot it, and because I'm not a painter.
I did. Now, my mom's dad, I did have some people in my family here and there with cars. My grandpa, my mom's dad, he loved Volkswagens. And
that's a good gateway to hot rods.
Yeah, he had 3 girls and a boy. And they all had one form, one of them had a Ghia, one of them had a hatchback, squareback, one of them had a Beetle, the boy had a bus, but they all had different VWs. Like, I don't know what it was with the VWs. I guess you could get them cheap or something.
Back then, yeah.
And then I watched my uncle and my grandpa pull a motor with their bare hands in the backyard, on one of those cars. And I was like, wow, holy cow. It's 2 people pulled the motor, and they put another one in, But one time my grandpa, like he didn't even have a garage in the driveway. He went to the hardware store and bought these like 10-cent cans of school bus yellow spray paint, and spray painted that Beetle, one of the Beetles, in the front driveway, and that was its brand new paint job, and like I don't think I ever forgot watching him do that, so when it came time to paint my Model T, I was like, rattle can.
Yes, sir.
I was like, we're going to do this the cheapest way possible.
Yeah, my mom and dad, well, my dad was, not when they first came to Florida, but whenever they got here and kind of got landed, my dad got into sand rails with the VW motors, and then the sand track shut down, so they switched over to the drag strip that was right next door. Well,
cool.
In the sand, you don't really break anything because the sand gives, asphalt doesn't. So my mom and dad changed a clutch in between rounds at the drag strip on my dad's rail buggy that was, obviously based on a Volkswagen. Yeah, just drop the cage, slide the motor back, change the clutch, slide the motor back in, bolt it up, and go make, second or third round, whatever it was. And I remember that story. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, my mom and dad did that.
Right.
Yeah, there's quite a few home videos that are still on the little cassettes of my dad ripping the shifter out of the floorboard. Go to grab second and the shifter come with them because, there ain't a whole lot in there. There ain't a whole lot of floor in there.
That's funny.
Well, one more rundown on when's your show, and then Ashley will give some details of our shows, and then we'll get out of here.
All right, man. The Show Me Lowbrow Art Show is Sunday, October 20th, and it's going to be at Das Bevo Beer Garden, 4749 Gravois in St. Louis, Missouri. And once again, that's Sunday, October 20th. And come out, come all. It's Hot Rod Jen's going to be there. Scratch is going to be there. Johnny Jalopi's going to be there. Little Daddy Roth is going to be there with Roth Metal Flake, the Chooky Hand, Cherry Bomb Pinstriping, Bill Bierman. We've got tons of people. Come on out. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Show Me Lowbrow Art Show.
We will
and thanks for having me on, you guys.
Hey, no
Thank
problem.
you.
We'll make sure that we put that in the description, and then also we'll tag it in the post.
Awesome. Thank you.
So hang out after this, though. Don't go anywhere.
No.
Go ahead, Ashley.
And don't forget, the 19th of this month is our cruise. We're meeting at Napa and Bushnell at 10:30, and then heading over to Coney Island and Brooksville about 11-ish. We don't really have specific time. Also, that same weekend, we have the Made of Steel show, the 17th through the 19th in Hernando County Fairgrounds, and the cruise that we will find out more information on Friday the 17th, the cruise into Inverness.
Yeah, we
Which
haven't
we'll get
made it
details
out to
on.
one of them, but we're gonna get out and support them and maybe get some of them cars to come support us.
Yep.
Till next time, make sure you go check out Swap It Fast, connecting buyers with sellers before, during, and after events. They need more buyers. They need more sellers.
Yes, and don't forget about Throttle Attic using the code word Hot Rod, and you get saved 15% off.
Thank you again, Dennis, for coming on.
Yes,
we
thank
appreciate having you on. Hang out.
You-
Later, guys. Till next time, drive your shit.
See ya.